You keep trying to win arguments head-on while the people who actually win never let the fight start on equal terms. That is the single mistake quietly destroying your leverage in every room you walk into. You think conflict is about who is louder, who is smarter, who has the better facts. It is not. It is about who positioned themselves so decisively that the outcome was locked in before anyone raised their voice. Fighting fair is not noble. Fighting fair is a trap you fell into because someone taught you that strength looks like standing toe-to-toe and trading blows. It does not. Strength looks like the person across the table realizing they have already lost and not even understanding how. That is the ruthless art Machiavelli perfected. And right now, you do not own it. But you will. Here is the idea I want burned into your skull for the next 30 minutes. Fighting fair is volunteering to lose. Every time you meet someone on equal footing, you hand them a coin flip. Every time you attack where they are strongest, you broadcast exactly what you are afraid of. Every time you let a confrontation begin before you have secured your position, you are gambling with something you cannot afford to lose. The people who run the rooms you walk into do not fight fair. They do not fight at all, not in the way you understand fighting. They win first. Then they let you call it a fight so you feel better about losing. There is an ancient principle that separates every person who has ever held real power from every person who has ever envied them. Victorious warriors win first and then go to war. Defeated warriors go to war first and then try to win. Read that again in your mind. Victorious warriors win first and then go to war. Defeated warriors go to war first and then try to win. The difference is not talent. The difference is not intelligence. The difference is sequence. One person locks in the win before the first punch is thrown. The other throws punches and hopes something breaks their way. You have been the second person your entire life. Today, we change that. Here are 7 dark principles of winning before they know it is war. Each one will cost you something. Each one will require you to kill a belief you have been carrying since childhood. And each one will give you back the power that belief has been quietly draining from you. Number 1. Never attack where they are strong. The stupidity of direct confrontation is not just tactical. It is psychological. When you attack someone at their strongest point, you are telling them and everyone watching exactly where your fear lives. You are handing them a map of your insecurity. Think about the last argument you got into. You went straight at the thing you thought you could win, right? You aimed at the point you thought was weakest in their armor. But here is what you did not see. They were expecting you there. They had already built their defense at that exact spot because that is where everyone attacks. The strong point is strong because it has been reinforced by every previous challenge. Attacking it does not test it. Attacking it strengthens it. Most people charge at the front door. Strategic people look for the moment the front door does not matter. You are exhausting yourself battering down a wall that was built specifically to be battered. Meanwhile, the person you are fighting is calm. They are rested. They are watching you spend your energy on exactly the spot they wanted you to spend it. Every blow you land on their strongest point is a blow you cannot spend somewhere it would actually matter. You are donating your force to their defense. Stop. Stop doing this today. Not next week. Not when you feel ready. Today. The cost of this pattern is enormous and you are not even measuring it. Every time you attack head-on and lose, you teach yourself that you are weak. You are not weak. You are just fighting the wrong battle in the wrong place at the wrong time. The weakness is not in you. The weakness is in your strategy. And a weak strategy will make a strong person feel helpless for their entire life. That is what is being taken from you right now. Not just victories. Not just arguments. Your sense of your own competence is being eroded every time you pick a fair fight and lose a coin flip you never needed to flip. Number 2. Occupy the high ground before they know a conflict exists. This is the principle that sounds simple and takes years to internalize. Whoever is first in the field and awaits the coming of the enemy will be fresh for the fight. Whoever is second in the field and has to hurry to battle will arrive exhausted. Think about what that means in your daily life. The person who has already built the relationship with the decision maker has the high ground. The person who has already framed the narrative before anyone pushes back has the high ground. The person who has already planted the idea in the room before the meeting starts has the high ground. And you? You show up at the meeting. You make your case. You wonder why nobody hears you. They did not hear you because the decision was made before you opened your mouth. You were fighting on terrain someone else chose. You were exhausted before you spoke your first word because you arrived second. Here is what most people do. Most people wait until there is a conflict and then start maneuvering. That is like waiting until you are drowning to learn to swim. Strategic people do not wait for conflict. They preposition. They build alliances before they need them. They shape perceptions before those perceptions are tested. They make the phone call before the crisis. They send the message before the confrontation. By the time the other person realizes there is a disagreement, the ground has already been chosen, the audience has already been prepped, and the outcome has already been tilted. The fight, if it happens at all, is a formality. You have been arriving second your whole life. You have been responding instead of initiating. You have been defending instead of positioning. And every time you do this, you are teaching the people around you that you are someone who reacts. Reactors do not run rooms. Reactors get run. The cost here is not just lost arguments. The cost is your reputation. People are watching you show up late to every fight, and they are quietly concluding that you are not someone to follow. They may never say it. But the conclusion is being formed. Every day you wait to preposition, another person is building the network, the narrative, the relationship that will make your argument irrelevant when the moment comes. Number 3. Make them come to you. The good fighter makes the enemy come to him rather than going to the enemy. This is not just about physical positioning. This is about who controls the tempo of the engagement. When you go to someone, you are on their territory. You are in their frame. You are playing by their rules. When they come to you, everything reverses. They are on your ground. They are in your frame. They are responding to your initiative. And here is the part that nobody tells you. When someone comes to you, they have already admitted something. They have admitted that they need something from you more than you need something from them. That admission is leverage. And you can use it without them ever realizing they handed it to you. Think about how often you chase. You chase validation. You chase approval. You chase the conversation. You chase the opportunity. Every time you chase, you are teaching the other person that they hold the power. Even if you are smarter, even if you are more capable, even if you are right, the act of chasing inverts the power dynamic. You become the supplicant. They become the gatekeeper. And gatekeepers do not respect supplicants. They tolerate them. Here is the shift. Stop going to them. Make them come to you. How? By becoming the person who has something they cannot get anywhere else. By controlling information they need. By building relationships with people they depend on. By being so positioned that ignoring you costs more than engaging you. When you do this, you do not need to start the fight. You do not need to make the case. You do not need to argue. They come to you. And when they come to you, they are already half defeated because they have conceded the initiative. You did not throw a punch. You did not raise your voice. You simply made it more expensive to ignore you than to approach you. That is power. That is the kind of power that does not need to announce itself. Number 4. Divide their forces. A united enemy is strong. A divided enemy is vulnerable. This is the oldest trick in the book, and you are not using it because you are too busy fighting the whole enemy at once like some kind of honorable fool. Stop fighting the whole enemy at once. You do not have the resources. Nobody does. The person or group you are up against draws strength from unity. Their allies reinforce them. Their supporters amplify them. Their confidence comes from the sense that they are not alone. Break that sense and you break them. Not by attacking them directly. By attacking the connections that make them feel strong. In practice, this means watching the fault lines. Every alliance has cracks. Every group has internal tensions. Every team has someone who feels underappreciated, someone who is secretly resentful, someone who is only going along because they have not seen a better option. You do not need to create these cracks. They already exist. You need to see them. And once you see them, you widen them. Not with confrontation. With attention. With a well-timed compliment. With a piece of information that makes someone question their loyalty. With an opportunity that pulls one person slightly away from the group. You are not destroying their alliance. You are making it irrelevant by making each person in it question whether the alliance serves them. Most people see a united front and panic. They see the group aligned against them and think they need to overpower the whole group. That is the mistake. The group is only as strong as its weakest commitment. Find the weakest commitment. Apply pressure there. Watch the group fracture. And when it fractures, you do not need to fight all of them. You fight the pieces, one at a time, if you need to fight at all. Usually, you do not. Usually, the fracture is enough. The group loses confidence. The narrative shifts. The fight you were dreading dissolves because the people who were going to fight for your opponent are no longer sure they want to. The cost of not doing this is that you keep facing united opposition and losing. You keep feeling outnumbered. You keep feeling like the world is against you. It is not against you. You are just failing to see that the world is not a monolith. It is a collection of self-interested actors who happen to be aligned for the moment. Break the alignment and you break the threat. Keep charging at the monolith and you break yourself. Number 5. Let your opponents exhaust themselves. This is the principle that requires the most discipline and delivers the highest return. Most people cannot do it because it requires patience, and patience feels like weakness to people who do not understand power. Patience is not weakness. Patience is the weapon of people who understand that time is on their side if they do not waste it. Here is what happens in most conflicts. Two sides throw themselves at each other. Both get tired. Both get emotional. Both make mistakes. The one who makes fewer mistakes wins. But that is a stupid way to win. You are still damaged. You are still depleted. You won the fight but you lost something in the process. Now imagine a different approach. You do not throw yourself at them. You let them throw themselves at you. You position yourself behind something they cannot easily reach. You make them come to you across terrain that drains them. You let them spend their energy, their credibility, their political capital, their emotional reserves. And you wait. You wait while they exhaust themselves attacking a position you chose because it was easy to defend. You wait while their allies grow tired of the fight and drift away. You wait while their mistakes accumulate and their credibility erodes. And then, only then, when they are spent and exposed, you move. This is the strategy that let weaker forces defeat stronger ones throughout history. It is not about being stronger. It is about being smarter with energy. The person who attacks first reveals their hand. The person who attacks first spends their best material. The person who attacks first commits to a narrative they cannot change. And you sit back. You observe. You let them commit. You let them spend. You let them believe they are winning because you have not responded. And when they are stretched thin, when their resources are gone, when their allies are bored, when their argument has been made and made and made again until everyone is tired of hearing it, you strike once. Precisely. At the point that matters. And it is over. The cost of not learning this is that you keep spending yourself in every fight. You keep coming out of conflicts depleted even when you win. You keep aging faster, burning hotter, exhausting your reserves on battles that did not need to be fought that hard. Your energy is finite. Your credibility is finite. Your patience is finite. Every time you spend them on a frontal assault, you have less for the next fight. And the next fight is always coming. The people who last are not the ones who fight hardest. They are the ones who fight least. Number 6. Be formless. The good fighter makes the enemy come to him and does not go to the enemy. By remaining formless, you make yourself invincible because the enemy cannot identify what to attack. This sounds abstract, but it is deeply practical. Being formless means you do not telegraph your strategy. You do not announce your position. You do not commit to a stance that can be countered. You are unpredictable not because you are chaotic but because you are disciplined enough to not show your hand. Think about what you reveal in normal conversation. You reveal your opinions. You reveal your loyalties. You reveal what you care about. You reveal what you fear. You do this constantly, automatically, because you were taught that honesty is strength. It is not. Honesty is a tool. Used at the right time, it builds trust. Used at the wrong time, it paints a target on your chest. Most people use it at the wrong time. Most people hand their playbook to their opponents in the name of being genuine and then wonder why they keep losing to people who are less genuine but more strategic. Being formless does not mean being dishonest. It means being selective. It means revealing only what serves your position. It means letting people see what you want them to see and nothing more. It means that when someone tries to figure out your next move, they cannot, because you have not committed to a pattern. You have not repeated the same tactic twice. You have not shown them the same formation twice. You adapt to the terrain in front of you and you flow around obstacles instead of crashing into them. Water shapes its course according to the ground over which it flows. The good soldier works out his victory in relation to the foe he is facing. You have been fighting every opponent the same way. You have been using the same argument, the same approach, the same emotional posture, regardless of who is in front of you. That is like using the same key for every lock. It works once and fails everywhere else. And every time it fails, you blame the lock. The lock is fine. Your key is wrong. Stop using the same key. Become water. Become formless. Become the person who cannot be predicted and therefore cannot be prepared for. The cost of being predictable is that you are always being prepared for. Every person who has ever beaten you saw you coming. They knew your move before you made it because you always make the same move. They did not outthink you. They outweighted you. They let you play your only card and then they played theirs. You are not out of cards. You are just using the same one over and over. That one card is being taken from you every time you play it and lose. Eventually you will have nothing left to play. Formlessness is how you keep cards in your hand. Formlessness is how you stay dangerous even when you seem quiet. Number 7. Know when to end it. This is the one that gets people who have done everything else right. Many victories are squandered because the winner does not know how to disengage. You win the argument and then you keep going. You prove your point and then you keep proving it. You get what you need and then you push for more. And in doing so, you overextend. You turn a clean win into a messy situation. You give your opponent, who was defeated, a chance to recover because you would not stop. Here is the seductive pull that ruins people. The desire to not just win but to humiliate. To not just prove your point but to destroy theirs. To not just get what you need but to make them suffer for having resisted. This desire is poison. It feels like strength. It is actually weakness. It is weakness because it means you are no longer fighting for an outcome. You are fighting for an emotion. And the moment you fight for an emotion, you have lost your strategic mind. You have become the person who goes to war first and then tries to win. Knowing when to end a conflict is as important as knowing how to start one. The moment you have achieved your objective, you stop. You do not need to explain. You do not need to gloat. You do not need to make sure they understand that you won. You simply stop. You disengage. You preserve your gains. You walk away with what you came for and you leave nothing on the table for them to use against you next time. A clean exit is power. A messy victory is a loss waiting to happen. The cost of not knowing when to stop is that you keep turning wins into losses. You keep creating enemies out of defeated opponents. You keep spending goodwill you earn through victory on petty displays of dominance. And every time you do this, the people watching learn something about you. They learn that you cannot control yourself. They learn that winning is not enough for you. They learn that you are driven by ego, not strategy. And they start planning for the day you overextend against them. Because you will. You always do. The person who cannot stop is the person who can be counted on to eventually stop themselves. Now let me pull all 7 together because the connections matter more than the individual principles. Never attack where they are strong. Occupy the high ground before they know a conflict exists. Make them come to you. Divide their forces. Let them exhaust themselves. Be formless. Know when to end it. These are not 7 separate ideas. They are one idea expressed 7 ways. The idea is this. Fighting fair is volunteering to lose. Every principle here is a mechanism for refusing to fight fair. Every principle is a way of tilting the ground before the first step is taken. Every principle is a way of making the fight unnecessary, or if it is necessary, making it so lopsided that it is not really a fight at all. The victorious warrior wins first and then goes to war. The defeated warrior goes to war first and then tries to win. This is not a metaphor. This is a mechanical description of how power actually works in every room, every relationship, every negotiation, every conflict you will ever enter. The question is not whether you are smart enough to win. You are. The question is whether you are willing to stop fighting the way you were taught and start fighting the way winners actually fight. Because here is the uncomfortable truth you already know but have not wanted to face. You were taught to fight fair by people who were losing. You were taught that direct confrontation is honest by people who got beaten in direct confrontations. You were taught that patience is cowardice by people who could not control themselves long enough to be patient. The people who taught you how to handle conflict were not winning. They were coping. And you inherited their coping mechanisms and called them principles. Marcus Aurelius understood something that most people miss. The greatest power is not in the blow. It is in the composure before the blow. It is in the mind that does not need to strike because it has already arranged the world so that striking is unnecessary. Stoic composure is not passivity. It is the highest form of strategic positioning. The person who is not rattled sees everything. The person who is not emotional decides everything. The person who is not reactive controls everything. You have been reactive. You have been emotional. You have been rattled. And it has cost you every room you have walked into. Let me name what this pattern is taking from you. It is taking your authority. You walk into rooms and people do not defer to you because you do not carry yourself like someone who has already won. You carry yourself like someone who is hoping to win. That hope is visible. That hope is weakness. People smell it. They do not respect it. They may like you. But being liked is not being respected. And you have been confusing the two for your entire life. It is taking your time. Every unnecessary confrontation you enter costs hours, days, sometimes weeks of mental energy. You replay the argument. You think of what you should have said. You stew. You vent. You process. All of that energy is stolen from you by a strategy that told you to fight every battle instead of choosing the ones that matter. You do not have time to fight every battle. Nobody does. The people who seem to have unlimited energy for conflict do not actually have more energy. They have better filters. They fight less and win more because they only fight what matters. It is taking your relationships. Every time you confront directly and clumsily, you damage a connection you might have used later. You burn bridges you did not need to burn. You create adversaries you did not need to create. And you do it in the name of being honest, being direct, being real. Being real is not an excuse for being strategic. Being real without strategy is just being exposed. You are exposed. And the people who have been watching you be exposed are not impressed by your authenticity. They are taking notes. It is taking your self-respect. This one is quiet and it is the most expensive. Every time you fight fair and lose, a small piece of your confidence dies. Not because you lost. Because you know, somewhere underneath, that you did not need to lose. You know you could have positioned better. You know you could have been smarter. You know you could have waited, observed, divided, and struck only when the moment was right. You know. And that knowing is what eats at you. Not the loss itself. The knowledge that the loss was unnecessary. Here is what changes starting now. You stop volunteering for fair fights. When someone invites you to a confrontation on equal terms, you decline. Not by announcing that you decline. By quietly repositioning so that the terms are no longer equal. You do not say I will not fight you. You simply make sure that by the time the fight would happen, it is not a fight. It is a formality. You stop attacking where they are strong. You start looking for the gaps, the unguarded moments, the assumptions they have made that you can exploit. You stop being the person who charges the front door and start being the person who is already inside when they realize the front door does not matter. You stop going to them. You make them come to you. This requires building something. A reputation. A network. A body of work. A position of leverage. You build it quietly, patiently, without announcing it. And when it is built, you do not need to chase anyone. They come to you because you have become impossible to ignore. You start dividing. You start seeing the cracks in every alliance, every group, every unified front that opposes you. You do not create drama. You do not manipulate crudely. You simply pay attention to who is underappreciated, who is uncertain, who is looking for a reason to step away. And you give them that reason. Softly. Precisely. Without anyone noticing your hand. You start letting them exhaust themselves. When someone comes at you, your first instinct is to respond. Kill that instinct. Replace it with observation. Let them talk. Let them spend. Let them commit. Let them reveal. The more they say, the more you know. The more they attack, the more they expose. Your silence is not weakness. Your silence is intelligence gathering. And when you finally speak, you speak once and you speak to the point that matters. One sentence can end what 1,000 of theirs could not. You become formless. You stop telegraphing. You stop announcing. You stop being the person everyone can read. You become the person who is always slightly unexpected. Not dramatic. Not theatrical. Just unreadable. Just enough off the pattern that nobody can prepare for you. This makes you dangerous. Not because you threaten people. Because you cannot be anticipated. And the person who cannot be anticipated is the person who cannot be defeated through preparation. And you learn when to stop. The moment you have what you need, you disengage. No extra commentary. No victory lap. No need to make sure they feel the loss. You take what you came for and you leave. This is not cruelty. This is economy. This is the discipline that separates people who win once from people who win consistently. The person who cannot stop winning is the person who eventually loses because they do not know when the fight is over. Fighting fair is volunteering to lose. Say it to yourself. Fighting fair is volunteering to lose. Every time you are tempted to meet someone on equal terms, remember that. Every time you feel the pull to argue directly, confront head-on, prove your point in the open, remember that. The pull is not wisdom. The pull is conditioning. It is the voice of every person who taught you how to handle conflict while quietly losing their own. You do not have to listen to that voice anymore. You can listen to a different one. The one that says win first, then let them call it a fight. Let me be clear about something. This is not about becoming cruel. This is about becoming precise. Cruelty is wasteful. It spends energy on suffering that does not serve you. Precision spends energy only on outcomes. The cruel person wants to hurt you. The precise person wants to remove you as an obstacle. Those are different goals. The cruel person is emotional. The precise person is cold. Cold is not the same as heartless. Cold is the temperature of a mind that will not be moved off its strategy by feelings that do not serve it. Marcus Aurelius lived in that cold. He ruled from it. He did not let the chaos of empire disturb the order of his mind. That is the composure I am asking you to develop. Not numbness. Composure. The ability to feel everything and be moved by nothing that does not serve your position. Most people will not do what I am describing. Most people will hear this and nod and then go back to fighting fair tomorrow. They will feel the pull of their conditioning and they will follow it. They will charge the front door again. They will attack where the opponent is strong again. They will go to war first and try to win later. They will volunteer to lose and call it being brave. You are not most people. Or at least, you have a choice about whether you are. The choice is not complicated. It is just hard. It is hard because it requires you to abandon the comfortable feeling of being in a fair fight. Fair fights feel good. They feel honest. They feel like you are being your real self. That feeling is the bait. The fairness is the trap. The honesty is the cost. Being your real self in a fight is the most expensive thing you can do because it hands your opponent everything they need to defeat you. Your real self is not your best self in conflict. Your strategic self is. And your strategic self is not dishonest. It is simply the version of you that has learned that not everything needs to be shown. Here is the ultimate principle underneath all seven. The best victory requires no battle. The supreme achievement is to subdue the opponent without fighting. Not because you are afraid to fight. Because fighting is expensive. Fighting costs energy, reputation, relationships, time. Fighting damages you even when you win. The person who wins without fighting keeps everything. Their energy. Their reputation. Their relationships. Their time. They walk away with the outcome they wanted and nothing spent. That is not weakness. That is the highest form of strength there is. And here is the deeper layer. When you live this way, something shifts in how people experience you. They start to feel that you are untouchable. Not because you are aggressive. Not because you are intimidating. Because nothing seems to land on you. Confrontations do not rattle you. Provocations do not trigger you. Attacks do not draw you out. You are just there, solid, positioned, unmoved. And that solidity becomes its own deterrent. People stop trying because they can feel that trying will cost them more than it will cost you. You have become the terrain itself. And you do not fight the terrain. You either cross it or you go around it. But you do not beat it. That is what Machiavelli understood that most people do not. Power is not about how hard you can hit. It is about how little you need to. The most powerful person in the room is not the one making the most noise. It is the one who has arranged the room so that noise does not matter. The most dangerous person is not the one who threatens. It is the one who has already positioned themselves so that threats are unnecessary. The most respected person is not the one who wins arguments. It is the one who never needs to argue because the argument was settled before it began. Fighting fair is volunteering to lose. I said it at the beginning and I am saying it at the end because it is the one thing I need you to remember when the next confrontation comes. It will come. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe today. Someone will say something. Someone will challenge you. Someone will try to pull you into a fight on their terms. And in that moment, you will feel the old pull. The pull to respond. The pull to argue. The pull to stand toe-to-toe and trade blows. Feel it. Recognize it. And then do not follow it. Instead, ask yourself one question. Have I already won this, or am I about to volunteer to lose it? If the answer is that you have not already won, then do not fight yet. Position. Observe. Wait. Build. Divide. Let them spend. Let them commit. Let them reveal. And when the moment comes, when the ground is yours, when the outcome is tilted, when the fight is a formality, then you act. Once. Precisely. And it is done. This is the ruthless art Machiavelli perfected. Now it is yours. Not as theory. As practice. Starting with the next conversation you have. Starting with the next challenge you face. Starting right now, not tomorrow. Not when you feel ready. You will never feel ready. Readiness is another trap. You start by doing it badly. You start by catching yourself mid-confrontation and pulling back. You start by staying silent when you would normally speak. You start by walking away when you would normally engage. You start by being formless when your instinct screams at you to be predictable. And over time, badly becomes better. And better becomes natural. And natural becomes who you are. You are not someone who fights fair. You are someone who wins. And those are different identities. You have been living in the first one. It is time to move into the second. If you understood what I just said, if something shifted in you while you listened, then say it. Claim it. Type it in the comments so it becomes real. I am untouchable. Not because you are arrogant. Because you have decided that volunteering to lose is no longer an option. And the moment you decide that, the moment you write it down, the moment you speak it into existence, the game changes. Not because the world changed. Because you stopped playing by rules that were designed to make you lose. Fighting fair is volunteering to lose. Never fight fair. Win before they know it is war. The ruthless art Machiavelli perfected. Now it is yours.